Welcome to Slow and Steady, the podcast where you get to follow along as we build products in public. Each episode gives you an honest peek into our lives as we share our struggles, our wins, and everything in between. I'm Benedikt and I'm feeling super busy.
And I'm Benedicte. Today is January 20th. This is episode number 235, and I'm feeling tired.
Whew. Yeah, I feel like I will be feeling tired soon because I feel like I'm super busy. And I also have to admit I didn't do my year in review and yearly plan, like personal yearly planning. Yeah,
let's just skip all this planning. Let's just YOLO this year. This year I'm YOLOing. I'm just there's the only thing that I figured out over the weekend. I did my business, a yearly planning group thing. And the only thing I got down from that day was like, I need more like whimsy and joy this year. There's just needs to be a little bit more galskap, as we say in Norwegian. So let's see where that takes me.
I don't think we have a similar word like that in German.
Yeah. So, that's the only thing I kind of managed to put down. I cannot process the last year yet. So I want to do like the school year. So like, we could do like a yearly planning in the end of August. That's when then I will process.
Feel like you're ready?
That's when I'm going to process the last year and like the last, let's be honest, 10 years, so that I can go forth in life on like a new leaf or whatever. But I'm not there right now.
Right. Yeah.
We'll get there. It's a trick knowing when to process and when to not process.
Yeah, but then you also have to be careful to not process for too long because that's not healthy either.
That is true, but I will process some in private first, and then we can do the public processing in August or something like that. But
yeah.
But so I'm a little tired after Christmas, and then it's been my birthday, woohoo, which was a lot of fun. Woo! But and then next weekend is my daughter's birthday, and then her cousin's birthdays. And if you're a longtime listener, you know this. January is intense in Oslo. So just trying to, relax enough in between. Trying to have fun with it and not just being a chore. So we kind of scaled back on a lot of the things, but then we're like going all out for, the class birthday on Saturday. There's going to be like a sparkly glitter theme for the girls in the Pirate Princesses class. So we're going to go shopping this week. And I think that's going to be fun. And remember to enjoy it and not just look at it as a chore. Because we are lucky to be able, to celebrate. You were jumping in. Did you want to jump in?
Yes, let's jump in. I feel like not sure. I think I lost my train of thought or something like that. Yes, you said you're tired because lots of birthday and all of that. Yes, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm back on track.
But you're busy. Yes. You're a little too busy.
I feel like I'm a little bit too busy. Yeah. So we did also do some yearly planning. Basically, had spent 2-3 hours last week to review last year, everything we done, everything that worked, that didn't work, was a good idea, was a bad idea, stuff like that. And then we made a plan for this year. And then also on Monday started planning this quarter, even though we are also like a third through the quarter already, more or less. But it took a while for everyone to be back on board. Like I feel like Monday was the first day the whole team was back from either being on vacation, being sick, taking time off, like holiday stuff like that. Everyone's back. So we're just now back at full capacity and actually able to tackle stuff properly again. But we made some plans for the year, and I feel like this year we at least I try to be light on planning stuff for the product itself. and trying to shift more towards marketing and sales. Not that we haven't done this in the past, but I feel like the product is pretty good at this point, and sure, we can keep working on it, but I think, yeah, we should be doing more marketing, and I think especially me should be doing more marketing these days. So we're trying to shift that focus a little bit that way. The video challenge, well, it's not a challenge, but I have a goal of recording 5 videos this quarter. Not making it to 10, but yeah, there's this goal of the 5 videos, baby steps. And we set out to 1.5x our customer base. At least that's what what we're shooting for. And I try to run some projections on what's involved in that, and try to make the math, like how many new customers per month is that, and how many new trials, and all of that. And I know it's common wisdom, but I feel like I had to experience this myself. Churn sucks. Especially looking at the numbers, like even with relatively low numbers of churn, like 1-2% or something like that. That's a lot of your customers. Like, you have to just do a lot of work just to maintain the number you're at the moment. So it's crazy. It's really crazy. So yeah, if you can do the math, like just try, set a goal, try to work backwards from where you're today and what you want to be, and then just like do the numbers and like see what you need to do to figure out to get those goals. And while our numbers, like, we don't need that many new customers, but it's basically double than what we're currently getting.
Because you have to replace that churn, and then you have to get that.
Yes. You have to replace the churn extra. and add the couple extra. And at the moment, at the churn numbers we had for the last 6 months or so, that's basically, double the number of signups than what we're getting right now, or like getting in the last couple of months. And that's interesting.
Like, and your churn isn't that bad, because like you said, like 2-3%. Was that what you said? It's that, that's
like average of the churn. Last 6 months, that's what it was, 2.5%. Right now we're doing actually a lot better even, but I'm not like, let's not do the math with the current numbers. Let's at least do a 6-month average or something like that, because who knows, right? I mean, just because it's nice right now, maybe next week everyone leaves. I don't know. So we're trying to be conservative in the numbers we assume. And it's a challenge. Like, I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do to get to those numbers. And the downside is, like, because I did like the backwards math, in theory, we have a target we need to hit this month, even though we haven't figured out anything, right? We haven't figured out how to grow that number and anything. So realistically speaking, we probably need even more by the time we figure out how to do this, to still make the year-end goal. So this will be an interesting year. But I feel like this is the first time, at least, I'm making a conscious effort to think about it in a strategic way, and like also like doing that math and figuring out what actually needs to happen. Because in the past it was always, let's see, we just do stuff and see what happens. And I think this year I want to at least try a little harder and try to be a little bit more strategic, or a little less of let's just see what happens, right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
But it's good you took the time to like look at the numbers, because I think you needed that for like motivation, having those,
or demotivation. I don't know, but at least not being naive enough in assuming that just continue doing what we're doing is going to be good enough. I think that's the realization that was important.
That's one of
I
the
hope we
larger,
figure this out.
the challenges with Outseta as well, because we do have a lot of, people using Outseta which businesses don't work out, right? So there's a lot of natural churn, and it's hard to, like, in that noise, see what is churn that we, where we could have been better, where we could have onboarded better, where we could have done a better job of keeping them, and what is kind of natural churn. Somebody is trying out a new business and it doesn't work, and they churn after 3 or 4 months because they're giving up the business, or after a year or whatever. It's hard to like look in that noise and figure out what is us and what is just like a natural churn. And we'll probably always have a higher churn than some SaaSes because of that type of nature, but also where can we make sure that the ones who are making money, are staying with us, and how many of those are churning. And then we need to do some analytics and some better reporting on that for our case, where we can, it's been on the back of my mind running some numbers on, like, what is the churn amongst the people who are actually generating revenue through us, and versus those who kind of set it up but never actually get started, because those we can't save. But the people who are generating revenue, like, why are they leaving? Like, what's but then also some of the ones who maybe left could have been generating revenue, but they didn't get that far, but we don't know.
yeah. And I guess there's always that, like, that thing where you're like, I also have to figure out, like, can you help those people be successful, right? Like,
yeah.
And I guess that's where it even goes beyond your product, right? Like, where you, I don't know, have resources that help them and educate them, set expectations, stuff like that. But it's tough. Like, it sounds easy in theory, but, like, then once you get to, like, actually figuring out what to do to fix those things, it's actually, like, Jane and I, at least, we're often sitting there and be like, yeah, what do I know, right?
Yeah. And then it's hard, especially for the people who just, they're not that interested in talking to us or, like, answering anything, because if you try the business and it kind of failed, you might not be that interested in talking about it or let us know, because you kind of have, then you would have to, like, talk to us about your failure. Like, you want to do that.
That's not a fun thing to talk about.
And if they're doing well and they're moving off of us for, like, feature reasons or whatever, like, they're in, a space in their life where they also don't want to talk to us, because they're like, they're migrating off because of some reason, and they're, like, in the midst of building their business. Why should they help us build our business? Like, so it's not, because I would say, like, the common advice be like, well, talk to them. And it's like, well, I don't think I might try, like, but I feel like they're also in a space where they're not that interested in spending time with us. But if we caught them right before they left, right, that's when they would want to talk to us, to be like, this is my frustrations with your product. Will it be fixed? If not, I'm leaving. And then we could say, like, it won't be fixed, you will be leaving, but at least, we could, like, get those nuggets.
Yeah.
So it's like finding them and talking to them while they still want to help us.
Yeah. It's tough to get people at the right, like, to talk to people at the right time in their journey. But yeah, I guess you should at least try, right? Like, I mean, asking doesn't hurt. Like, even if they say, like, no, like,
no,
whatever, not going to talk to you or not going to answer. Like, when people churn in Userlist, we have a process where our customer support person is at least sending an email to them, thanking them for being a customer and asking, like, why, like, and some, like, most of the time we don't get replies, but sometimes we get some. So we're like, hey, yeah, love the product, but whatever, shutting down the business or moving to competitor because of whatever. So yeah, sometimes you get some good insights, which is interesting.
Yeah, we have, because on our kind of widget where you cancel, which our customers also use, there is like this free form field that people
Yep.
can fill out. So we've been going through a lot of those, and there were some interesting that actually got me to work on this next documentation article that I've been like postponing. But now with Jean Claude, I was like, let's write this article. And I was also answering a support ticket that was asking the same kind of questions. And I was like, okay, we've seen churn being because they can't figure out how to do this with vibe coding, which usually is next. And this support ticket coming in where it's like, this person is definitely vibe coding because these questions don't make sense. And so I wrote the article. So it gave me that motivation, right? That seeing that, okay, this will solve both that one, that churn thing and the actual current user. So I wrote it, and then I went into Cursor, I copy pasted my article, and I said, like, let's build a demo for Outseta that has gated content, blah, blah, blah. Pasted in this as context, hit enter, and lo and behold, it actually one-shotted it completely correct. We are at the
That's
stage
wild.
where my mind, because I tried to do this 6 months ago with a lot of telling it exactly how it should do things. And it just like wanted to download the React SDK we don't have. It wanted to do all, I was like, do not do that. Add this script to the header. And it just like didn't want to. But now with Opus 4.5 or whatever it was that I tried, I just copy pasted in this article, boom. And I looked through the code, and it was React code made by AI, so the Tailwind classes were all over the place and blah blah. But logically, it was all sound, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh we are in a new world. And I think it's been slowly dawning on me, because I've been trying at several points a lot, especially since we've been getting so much support from vibe coders, where I was just like, well, I can't help you because like we will never get your tool to do what it needs. So we need to change. But now it seems like we're at a place where we can actually continue doing things a little bit the way we've done it, but actually get the AI to like, do it the way we expect it to, instead of the other way around. So that's been super interesting. And just on to keep rambling on that, I was finishing off the theft flow for we, where we have the bike rental, and now we want a flow for people being able to tell us that their bike has been stolen. And Ola done a lot of like a proof of concept work. Then I took that and I created a mermaid diagram of the flow, and like going through all the states. And then I took some notes that he had made in TL Draw. I screenshotted that, and I put that into Cursor, and I have not been coding much. Let's be honest. It's been testing and just telling it what it got wrong, and also discussing that flow, like where were we missing a step, or like what should we be thinking about, that kind of thing. So today I deployed the first version that's going to be user tested. And I also feel like it's not so precious because it's not going into production yet. Well, it's in kind of it's in our beta milieu. So it's going to be user tested, and then going to get that feedback, and then going into that, like, okay, let's clean this up and make sure it's sound for future future changes. But I still think I've been looking through the code, and it's like it's not bad, and it's been doing a lot of good reasoning around like database schemas and taking that, but like doing that job of creating that mermaid diagram, which I would never have done before, right? Because it would feel a little bit useless. But it's also a super helpful because we got the client, or like my coworker, over, and she could look through that diagram. Ola and I could look through that diagram. We had something to talk about, and then AI could look at that same diagram. Like it was mind blown, just mind freaking blown. And I've noticed working in a different language I'm not that familiar with, and I don't know if this is good or not, I will let AI do a lot more. Because it's like when I do React, I have my pet peeves that don't really, I mean, it doesn't really matter for production, right? If it's 2 lines, if there's going to be like a white space between these two things, or how the formatting is exactly. Like, but I have worked up pet peeves because I've been working with it for so long. But now I'm much more about the end result, and then I want to go back and make sure our logic and our data models are sound. But how that PHP code is written, like, I don't really care.
Right.
The details of it. So it's been a lot of fun because I can understand, like, working with Laravel and AI. I can understand where, like, the vibe coders that come in through support, who are much more like React. It's usually React or Next, where they're coming from and how they're thinking. Because, like, I understand it more now than when I was, just like coding things in React, which I know so well. Long ramble, but this is so interesting. And I've seen in your notes that you've been AIing more as well.
Yeah, I have. So I can confirm what you're saying. Like, I had played around with AI a little bit with Claude and Opus between Christmas and New Year's, while I was down with the flu, and my brain was half working, so that was fun already. But then last week, or even the week before, basically after we recorded the last episode, I started using it a lot more, and mind blown. Yeah, like I don't let it one-shot stuff as much as maybe you do, but what I noticed was that I felt more motivated to tackle annoying tasks that I like. There's a couple of things I wanted to do for a long time, but I knew would be cumbersome because a lot of small changes to a lot of small files, and just annoying to do, right? But I realized that now with AI support, I could get over that initial hump of like getting from nothing to okayish, somewhat working, maybe not perfect, relatively quickly, and then actually spend more time on the part that I enjoy doing. It's like the cleanup, the refactoring, like figuring out how to slice and dice stuff, like coming up with ideas on how to better structure the code and stuff like that. And I got from nothing to a thing that I could actually massage into a good thing super quickly. And I have been, over the last 2 weeks or so, have been shipping so much annoying stuff that I didn't want to take care of for months. Basically just in the last 2 weeks. We let me think, what was, we did OAuth, like we had an OAuth implementation, and I think I mentioned last time that it was lacking a little bit for MCP servers and stuff like that. So since we last talked, I introduced the concept of OAuth scopes for the entire API. We're currently not using it because I also introduced the concept of like trusted applications, and right now our front end is a trusted application, just blanketly gets access to everything, just like before. But now, at least in theory, like every single resource has its own scope. So you can request read and write access to workflows, read and write access to broadcast, read and write access to every single thing, basically. And we have all the code in place that checks those permissions, stuff like that. We also added support for OAuth tokens that are tied to a single account. Previously, our front-end application didn't care. Like, you can switch between everything. But it didn't make sense for future AI use cases and stuff like that. We just wanted, you authorize the thing to access one particular thing and not everything in the world. So we added that. We added the UI stuff for like authorizing a third-party access to your account with like blah, blah, blah applications trying to access your account. Do you want to remove, approve, deny? What will it have access to with the scopes? We added dynamic client registration, which is apparently a thing MCP servers want, so you can programmatically register new OAuth clients. We added, just for fun, a new prototype for a webhook node in our workflows. And one thing I still have to finish up is moving our sign-up flow from the front end to the back end. And I feel like I've never been this productive in the last, I don't know, years. So it was pretty impressive. And all of the code that we ended up merging is in a state where I'm happy, and I think it's clean enough and good enough to live up to the standards of the current code base, which is pretty great. Like, no complaints anymore.
You have a really good code base that it can learn from, right? And that's one of the good things where I felt like just 6 months ago, it didn't really like older code bases because it was all about like creating things from scratch. But now something has changed where it like can have more context, or I don't know the technology behind this, but where I think having an older code base is actually beneficial because you have so much, like you have something that you are proud of and you know it's good enough, and then the AI, the AI is going to be replicating kind of that type of structure and that kind of whatever, and then you can go in, and that's super cool. Whereas like 6 months ago it's like would have been better to start over again in a way if you wanted the AI help, but now it's like no, it can actually come in and be that junior developer that looks at the existing codes and try to replicate that for future features, and then you can guide it.
Yeah.
And then you can do some cleanup and like, hey, I got another 10 coworkers that can do stuff. But on that note, I think that's why you're feeling busy, because I also felt when I was like working with the AI, I was like doing things for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I was like, I didn't have any more in me that day. But like, you're supposed to have a longer day, but I couldn't be doing any more because it's so much more high level. You don't get the break that typing things out gives you, so you have to be mindful of taking those breaks. But those breaks then become reading a book, or like walking, or I don't know, crocheting, or it needs to be. I saw somebody in the Mega Maker community say, oh, we should have had like a little learning app that you can do while you're waiting for the agent. But I don't know if that is enough of a switch, because it's like I feel like you're doing so much of that high level work. At least my brain just like needs complete rest.
Yeah. What I noticed last week especially was that on some days I got up and the first thing I thought was, the AI isn't running because you haven't given it a new task. The first thing you should be doing before you do anything else, get to your computer, put in a new task so it starts working while you get breakfast or whatever. And it's kind of scary, and I don't think it's probably not healthy to be like just constantly thinking about how to feed the thing so it continues working, be like super efficient. But it's, on the flip side, it's also super interesting that you can cook dinner while the thing rewrites your sign-up flow. That's what I did. Yeah. Like, I had my computer in the kitchen. I was like, well, move this from there and replicate the styling and whatever. And then I was cooking pasta and stuff like that while the thing was working. And every so often was asked like permission to do whatever, and I just approve or whatever. And in the end, it worked. Like, it was fine. Yeah. So pretty
and
wild.
I think that's where like the voice interface is actually going to be interesting, where, because I've been using Claude while I'm walking quite a lot, and you can do like a recording while you're walking, and you can also do Claude Code, I think now, from the Claude app on your phone. Because then you can actually keep, you could keep cooking, and then it will tell you something, and you can just reply, and it will keep on going. And then in the end, you will have to sit down and do things. So I think that's like the next. And I see a lot of the guys that I see that are doing like really like in more of the like been doing this for a while. A lot of them have the dictation apps on their computers so that they can talk to the different agents. So that you can then maybe, I don't know, easier get those breaks then, because you can be cooking dinner and you take like you answer it instead of then having to go back to the computer, and even if your computer's in the kitchen. I don't know. I think the voice thing is going to be coming in.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not. I'd still rather be typing, but I guess that's just a personal preference. But I think that the danger of that is like you don't get to shut off now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. That's
I
why we
caught
need to be
myself
more
a couple of
mindful.
times.
We need to be
Yeah, I caught
mindful of these
myself a
things.
couple of times picking up the computer and sitting on a couch while watching Netflix and continue prompting and reviewing previously, I mean, I in the past there have been periods where I was just like sitting there and coding, right? And I feel like it took me a while to not do that and actually like switch off and not think about work. But right now it's a little bit hard. Like, I feel like falling back into bad habits from back then. Just not coding, but prompting, I guess, which isn't
And I
isn't
think
necessarily better.
because it feels like we're doing less work, but as I was saying, like we're still doing the same amount, like higher level work, and our break was typing because like just typing things out takes time, even if you're really fast. It's those like little micro breaks, and now suddenly because the AI is doing it, you're on, I don't know, me at least on Twitter or YouTube or something like that. Not a break. That is not a break.
Do you actually do this? Like, I feel like that's also a change I noticed over the last couple of months is first when I tried it with Copilot, and I tried Cursor at some point as well, but I feel like it was too slow. Well, it was so slow that I ended up drifting to other stuff mentally and like doing, I don't know, Twitter or email or like just like, and then at some point even forgetting that the thing was running and basically checking back. But like with when I tried it recently, I kept watching, and you get to results so fast that at some point, like while it was still working, I'm starting to review what it did.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually getting a break anymore. Like, I'm just like,
yeah, that's
basically
true. I've actually noticed
while it's
that
still doing
too.
the stuff, I already know, okay, next thing I'm going to tell it to do this, and this is not nice, and this is not nice, and and I guess in Claude Code you can already queue up messages, right? And be like, yeah, this is nice, but change this and do that. And basically, while it's still working, I'm already compiling the list of things I want changed. And there's no break in that sense anymore.
No, we need to take intentional breaks.
Yeah. So what's your AI doing while we are recording this?
My AI isn't doing anything.
What? Mine neither. I didn't start anything.
We are bad. We're bad programmers. No, we're having a break. We're having, a human moment right here. That's what we're having.
Right.
Yeah. But on that note, like, because I haven't had the time to dig deep into these things because also have to deliver other things. So I ended up, I don't know how this is going to go, but like buying 2 courses on AI development that are shipping in February. One from Aaron Francis and one from Brian Cassell. They usually do really good stuff. And I don't know if my aim is to actually follow these courses like properly. That's usually not what happens with these courses, but like having some, a place where you can get some pointers from somebody who's been doing this 24/7 for the last couple of months. Like, I've seen that that's all they've been doing, and this will be their kind of new product, teaching this stuff. So I'm very like eager and interested in seeing if that will be helpful at all. Because at least with me, I've been stuck in Cursor. I don't use Claude Code much. As soon as it gets into like Git work tree territory where you're working on different feature branches at the same time, like it kind of falls down a little bit for me, and I need somebody else's input on how to do that sustainably. I tried one day working on 2 different projects at the same time. It worked really well, but oh boy, was I tired at the end of the day. Because then every break was working on the other, like I was going back and forth. But it's an interesting it's like a new frontier or whatever. I know we're all
it's a
like
new
thing
to try, at least, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I also tried this, what is it called, Conductor, that like
Mm-hmm.
it's like that UI on top of Git workspaces and then running Claude in multiple sessions and stuff like that. Tried that for a little while, but like very quickly gave up on it because at least the way I'm currently using it, because I'm then going into review mode and stuff like that, the other thing eventually is done and doesn't get new input because I'm on the main thing. So I don't know.
Then you have
still
these
need to get
people who
used to
like,
it or something like that.
yeah, the like the more like maybe not one-shotting, but like giving larger tasks. Like I've seen people talk about like they're giving, and then the AI is like working for a couple of hours, and then they kind of look at it, and I'm like, okay, mind blown. This is way past what I'm where I'm currently at. So that's what I'm hoping to get a little bit from these courses, just picking up on, and also being in a community with other people who are interested, like, you know, having that conversation with more developers and seeing what people come up with, instead of just sitting on your own and and like trying to figure out all of this stuff.
I am looking forward to your feedback on this, or like your opinion on this, because I looked at those courses as well, and for a moment my finger was switching over the buy button, but I ultimately decided against it. So maybe, it will be interesting what you say, and maybe you convince me to buy it or confirm that I shouldn't be buying this.
Or like, which one should you buy?
Or which one should I buy? Yes.
But if we can have, you know, I can have like a tip of the, you know, the podcast from these courses that will make me try to like learn or pick up something, and that can be helpful, and I can share that on the podcast. But also on that note, that's where we're looking. We're at with Outseta. I think you were talking about this as well, but like we need to, or I think we need to position, or not position, but like get the tooling around our products to a place where developers are starting to kind of now suddenly I can't speak English. They expect. Like we're getting to a place where, you know, they expect to be able to code while setting up an account at the tool, or having the agent do the coding and setting up whatever it needs to set up on the service. Pierre at Outseta was working with Convex, which is a database, real-time database, and they have an MCP server, you know, so while he was creating a Outseta Next demo, you know, that the agent was just off, like, you know, putting in the tables it needed and adding demo content to the databases so that he could see how it would look in the little CMS he was creating. And that is super beneficial. Like you're working on a thing and you're getting like real fake data being put into your database while you're building out the feature, and you can like see what's happening. And so, and I don't think he would have, you know, wanted to work on that demo if he had to like, you know, come up with all this like, you know, fake content and figure that out, and like going into some UI and like clicking a database, whatever. Like you could probably do it with some kind of code, but like he said that was super, like he felt very productive again, and like it was more fun because you're like in one focus mind space, like flow. You don't have to stop and go do things in another tool to get further along in what you're working on. So I think developers and vibe coders, I guess we're all vibe coders now, will expect that these things exist. And as we talked about, they probably shouldn't allow them to do everything from them, but in kind of an onboarding, what can we do to make sure people manage to onboard? I think like that these tools, the MCP service, the skills, the commands, the whatever else is coming out, is going to be more and more important, because otherwise, you know, I want to use that database that lets me do that, or I want to use that email service that lets me get up and running without having to leave my ideation focus in whatever agent I'm using. It's
interesting times ahead. One thing I saw in the notes,
You have to make everything.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. One thing I saw in the notes that you've been looking into, and we tried as well last week, is like finding cross-linking opportunities in our documentation. And I was actually surprised. I don't know. We ended up building a command for Claude to just like give it two folders on our website and ask it to figure out links from one to the other. And you can of course like do same folder twice. And while the results weren't like not like amazing, surprising, it did a pretty good job of like just finding, I want to say 100 or so opportunities where we're not like mentioning that we have a segments feature or like stuff like that. Just adding internal links between stuff here and there worked really well. And I feel like we could have done this manually, but it would have just taken forever and be like the most boring task ever.
and where I'm at, like, because we, our knowledge base can be accessed with the API. And that's one of the things I don't have in my MCP server, but it could be done with API calls. So I'm like, I asked just in like Claude chat to just look through our database. Or look through our support, because we have a support MCP that is just read and just like give me a list of all of the internal linking and related articles kind of things. And it came up with so much. But this is where I'm spoiled now. I'm like, I don't want to go and click on each article and make sure to create that link. I just want to hook it up to an MCP that can just update these articles for me. But I also don't want it to like mess up all of our articles. So I was thinking just today, I was like, could I ask, the guys to make like a proper backup of these things and then just try and be able to be like, roll back to an hour ago, because I might mess everything up. If
that was nice, because our website and our docs are just a static website. I did all of this on the local repository and did a pull request and just reviewed the pull request. So that was super nice.
But like we have a support feature, so we're dog food.
Yeah. I know. It makes sense. It makes sense.
If I was ever making a tool that didn't have that, I would have my docs as markdown files, because it just makes I like that.
Yeah, at least our it makes the developer workflow pretty nice. And I keep next topic, I guess, or like it's expanding on this. I keep wondering, like, I always assumed that eventually we will have to migrate to a CMS or some other tooling, because at some point our team would grow and include more people that aren't technical enough to do this stuff. But I'm starting to wonder if maybe we just keep this like this, because I think AI can just do a lot of the heavy lifting, and you don't have to know how to code or how to even write proper markdown anymore, I guess, right? Because you can do something that's close enough and then have it fix it or something like that. So yeah, interesting.
And I think so too. But I've also seen there's a lot more like markdown flat file editors now that you can even have as part of your code base. So you can get the best of both worlds, where somebody who really wants to go in and just fix some typos like manually can get a nice UI, and then you can have your developers just do it like they're used to. And then at least, I haven't been able to test it out yet, but Claude came out with the equivalent of Claude Code, but for non-technical users, the Claude Coworker. So then they could use Claude Coworker towards the files on their system, and probably you could set up some sort of skill, that would actually push this as a PR. So there's like multiple ways, but I think, and I've seen Obsidian that we talked about before, which is a flat file knowledge kind of base, or like what's it called, like third brain. kind of system where you're supposed to put all your knowledge in. A flat file Notion, I guess, is the thing. And they're having a revival, because now with just Claude Code, but now with Coworker, you could just have Claude access all of your notes and organize your notes and update your internal linking and have it like extract information in whatever way. And so it's funny to see that some of those, again, fundamentals of files first, like Obsidian is, you own the files and you can have them on your computer. Suddenly that is becoming, I think it was always a good ethos, but now it's like, that's the way if you wanna use, if you want to power up with AI. But yeah, I haven't started the Coworker yet because in essence, I guess it could delete your whole laptop. So I'm going to do a backup before I allow it any
publicly accessible yet? I'm not sure. I thought it was in like private beta or something like that.
No, so in my Claude desktop app, I now have chat, co-work, and code as my tabs.
Okay. I don't use the desktop app, so maybe that's why.
And it's even in. I don't think Coworker have come to my phone app yet, but Claude Code is on my phone app, and you can do like a cloud session. So I was out walking, and I was like, what would it take to? And it has access to my GitHub to do this on my personal site, and like I was just talking to my phone. And while I was walking, it was like creating a PR and doing all kinds of things. While I was walking. Again, should I be productive while I'm walking?
Yeah, that's exactly. That's the thing we need to figure out, I guess.
Oh well. This is the AI episode.
Yeah, this turned into the AI episode. Yeah,
we're both converts now.
I fear we are. Okay, one last story from yesterday. While coding is pretty nice at this point, I had a fun experience with a customer support chat. Like I was trying to connect our Google Search Console thingy to our Ahrefs account for weeks, months at this point. And it would always be like, yeah, data is importing, should be available in a couple of minutes. Yeah, no, it's been months. So I tried to figure out what was going on, reconnected everything, double-checked with their docs. It just did not work. So I ended up in their support chat. And obviously, first thing you get is that AI that's like, hello, I'm going to help you. And sure, it came up with a couple of things that I should try. Most of them I had already tried before because it's in their docs, obviously. So I was like, yeah, I tried this, doesn't work, tried this, doesn't work, tried this, doesn't work. And then funny enough, the AI was like, okay, I think you should reach out to customer support. And I'm like, no kidding, really? What do you think I'm trying to do? Like, I'm in this chat with you because like I tried everything and I want some outside help. And then of course it was like, you're absolutely right. You're already in a support chat with me.
But it's like, I want to speak to a human.
Yeah, then I'm not sure if that's what triggered it, but at that point I got a human and they were able to confirm that I wasn't doing anything wrong and it should be working and that they will be looking into it. But like that interaction of like, hey, you should be reaching out to customer support. It's like, yes, I am currently reaching out to customer support, talking to you. So yeah, maybe there's still some room for improvement, I guess. Anyhow, I think that wraps us up for this week, does it?
It does. And I totally agree. There needs to be a human every now and then.
Yeah. At some point, it's kind of nice to talk to humans.
Yes.
Cool. Yes. Well, then, have a good week and see you around the internet.
Yeah. Bye.